Welcome back to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl. I'm Dr. Cheryl Shire, PhD in Financial Management and Business Administration, and I'm a minister. Are you waking up to your mindfulness and wealth consciousness, to your wealth transformation, to stop listening to the negative information about the economy? You make your own economy and wealth. Wealth is not only in hard cash, it is love and all the things that bring you pleasure. We as Americans, and not only Americans, focus way too much on money for the sake of it. Let's reevaluate our priorities. Love comes first and foremost. All you men out there, this is true for you too. It is proven that women of today are making history by being the change in the business world globally, as the Dalai Lama has quoted. And we still need to keep our femininity. It is in the news every day how women across the globe, especially in the third world countries, like all the Mideast countries, are struggling to even keep their empowerment and respect that they deserve as human beings. We as Americans, I believe, take it for granted as women. We are already have gained so many powerful positions here and abroad. We are the nurturers, the organizers, and the administrators. We are the communicators. We cannot run the world alone. And nor do I hope that women do want to. Men need to feel needed and in a practical sense. And I just read statistics from a Women's Leader reference that women leaders in the business world are not as happy as they expected to be. Have they lost their femininity? Is this because they feel alone, because men don't think we need them? Well, we do need each other, to work together, to respect each other, to love each other. Let's not lose perspective here, and especially our healthy relationship to one another and how this affects our relationship with money collectively too. We really need to go to a much deeper level to heal the relationship with the power that money has had over us. And of course, this is because we have given our power away. Think about it. With all the white-collar crime and corruption and evil around money from the top down, this is giving away our own power as humans. It's time to take it back, our power back, our human empowerment back, implementing living with impeccable values as we are meant to live up to. So let's raise the bar and live to a better standard. I have a joke. Johnny, he's age 8, comes into the house for dinner after playing outside all afternoon. His parents ask him what he did today. He says that he played baseball and then he proposed to Betty, age 7, the next door neighbor. They are going to get married. His parents think this is cute. And then they don't want to make fun of Johnny, so they ask Johnny, "How are you and Betty going to pay for the expenses of being married?" He replies, "Well, with the $1 I get from each week from you and the $1 she gets from her mom and dad, we should be okay." His father says, "That's fine, but how will you pay the extra expenses if you and Betty have a baby?" Johnny answers, "Well, so far we've been lucky." We have the first part of 2 parts with a special guest, inspiring guest, and her name is Janice Niederhofer. Janice is an internationally acclaimed master communicator, leadership development, and organizational specialist. As a world-renowned negotiator, interrogator, body language expert, she has trained people all over the world, including law enforcement agencies at all levels, with a global clientele. She brings her talent and experience to address 2 key issues facing businesses today: the costly effects of workplace miscommunications and the need for effective leadership development throughout the organization. Janice seamlessly blends years of scientific knowledge and real-world experience into her disarmingly entertaining and mind-stretching consulting programs. Now where else will you find this rare blend of personal leadership grounded in values that forward organizational health and personal power? She cuts to the chase, delivering high-impact, content-rich tools, strategies, and common-sense approach. Janice is a brilliant storyteller with a knack for finding humor in most unlikely situations, delivering powerful concepts through suspense-laden true life stories. from her colorful career, and I know that because I've heard some of them, as an undercover agent, SWAT team member, and hostage negotiator, Janice shows how to break down the doors that limit yourself and your staff from realizing their full potential. Wow, Janice, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dr. Cheryl.
Yes. Well, I know that we can talk about many things, but since my focus is about money and spirituality, I'll start with the first question, and then we can go from there. How were you taught from your caregivers around money, your feelings and your thoughts about money and how to handle money from your parents or caregivers or whomever?
Well, Cheryl, that's so common in this generation where parents work really hard, right? My parents were in a generation where they work really hard, to get the roof over I always heard, put a roof over your head, food on the table, and an education, right? But education didn't include college. I didn't even know what college was. Mm-hmm. So beliefs were really limited when it comes to money. Money meant pain. So how many people like that?
What kind of pain? What do you mean?
Well, watching my dad, he'd come home from work, and he worked 3 jobs, right? And he was a manual laborer.
Oh, okay.
So he'd come home, and he would take his, it was a meat and potatoes kind of growing up. So he'd have his meat, his potatoes, his vegetables. And I'll never forget, he'd put his head down, and he would just shovel his food because he'd be so hungry because he worked so hard. And as a little girl, I remember that. That, for me, was pain. And then to see his hands were full of calluses, that for me meant pain. Oh. And we never had enough, right?
So would you say that you were raised with feeling like there was never enough?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us have raised that way, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, majority of the population, actually.
Right.
So, okay, so I believe that you're living your passion, though, I do want to talk about your career a little bit. I know we could probably spend 2 segments or more talking about your career, but let's talk about how you got into the career that you did, which is the FBI.
Well, actually, it's not the FBI. It's the DEA.
Oh, sorry.
The Drug Enforcement Administration. Well, the FBI has a good PR section, right? DEA didn't really have it at the time.
Oh, okay.
So everyone knows what the FBI is, but hardly anyone knows what DEA is, Drug Enforcement Administration.
Yeah. Right.
Well, simply how I got into law enforcement was in my household, going back to childhood, you were told you were stupid and we didn't have money. So there's 2 things I wanted. I wanted to have money because that meant you were somebody.
Yeah.
Right? You were okay in the world and safe and happy and all those things you're looking for. And going to college meant that you were smart. So I decided I was going to go to college. And I literally borrowed $60 from my high school boyfriend because his family sent him to college. I said, "What's college? I got to go because this good family sent him." So I did. Yeah. And in my junior year of college, a professor said, "If you think you're so smart, you want to be a police officer, go to Ocean City, Maryland for the summer. They hire 60 extra seasonal officers. And after a very short academy, you get put out there by yourself." I was 20 years old. Yeah, 20 of us flaming hormone youngsters jumped in a car. We drove down from Michigan State University all the way down to Ocean City. We got hired.
Wow.
In the first summer at 20 years old, I was in a patrol car all by myself.
Oh, my God. All by yourself?
All by myself.
Wow. Wow. Well, you must have passed some rigorous testing to be able to be by yourself.
Sure. And I never looked back because there's a saying in our line of work. My goal was to work for a year after college, and I stayed in law enforcement. Work for a year and pay off all my school loans because I paid for my entire school myself, and then go to law school. Well, we have a saying in our line of work. Once you get it in your blood, you can't get it out. It's true. Yeah. So I just stayed in service.
How do you think, what does that stem from? What
part?
The emotional part, or the passionate part? How was it? Is it because you become passionate about it, or
you become very passionate, loyal, dedicated against all odds, no matter what's happening?
So you like a real challenge.
Well, of course. Look how I grew up.
Exactly. Okay.
So it was in my blood, right?
Okay. Yeah. So it was easy. Okay. So, and how long were you in the DEA, or I should say your career as an officer?
2 police departments and a full career as a special agent with DEA. I have over 29 years in that field.
29 years.
29 years.
Wow. So during that time, do you think you shifted your consciousness around money? I mean, you obviously...
Not for a long time, because you get into a security-based mindset, right? So officers and agents, they have a security-based mindset. Where's that retirement? How do I get to that retirement? How do I make the overtime? You know, how do I work the system so I can have enough money to retire? So there was nothing outside those boundaries. People in business were totally foreign to me.
Yeah. So when did you make that shift in, you know, the mentality shift from being in the security to going out into an entrepreneur? How, you know, when did you make that shift?
I did it accidentally.
Oh, tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Well, the career I was in and the way I grew up stacked up all these limiting beliefs, which then equaled not really enjoying yourself in life. I was really good at what I did, but I certainly was not happy. And the ways I was trying to get happiness wasn't working.
So how were you not happy?
Oh, in every category of life, to include wealth, right?
Okay.
I mean, I was making great money, but you know, you just, in our line of work, you don't pay attention to money. You get your paycheck, do what you need to do with it, put a little bit in retirement, keep going.
So you don't focus on that
no,
at all?
it's way back there.
Yeah, okay.
It's way back there. And literally, I didn't focus on my retirement financially, seriously, till 3 years from retirement.
Okay. Yeah,
which was sad, but luckily I did.
Yeah.
So what switched was I started just really working on all my beliefs in every category of my life, and wealth came right with it. Because my belief is your beliefs about who you are in the world affect every category, and wealth is one of those categories.
Absolutely. Amen. That's why you're here.
Yes.
And that's why I'm here.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I believe you're living your passion now. You have your own consulting business. You've got projects going. So since you're following your passionate purpose, where do you find the source of your wealth? Well,
my wealth is in every area of life, and it's truly spirituality. That's what fuels me.
Tell me what your feeling, your interpretation is of your spirituality.
You really want this, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, spirituality to me is, here's the deal. I've seen a lot in my lifetime. A lot.
I'm sure.
Okay?
I'm sure.
The darkest dark.
And not so many pleasurable things.
No, the darkest dark and the lightest light.
You are very streetwise, which would probably horrify me. But I mean, you did it. So.
That was my way of life. Yeah. My way of life was totally in service. Everything I do is in service. I don't know any different. So I've always been...
But that's a good quality, though.
Yes,
it's a wonderful quality.
I would never give it up because it's serving me.
Of course, and it's serving everybody that you come into contact with.
Exactly.
So tell me more about the spiritual part. I'm going to pull this out of you.
Well, I was ready to dump it. Here it comes.
Okay.
Spirituality. You know, what got me through my childhood is really the belief in God and my German Shepherd. That's where I got my love, right? And then as I went through this career, God was still my foundation, luckily,
Was it organized or you just had a knowingness?
Well, I grew up in organized religion, of course, but as the years went on, I grew away from that, and just where I arrived and where I'm at is, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you believe, as long as you're a good person. You're every day doing the best you can to be a great person and give back, right?
Absolutely.
From opening a door for someone to, you know, raising your family, right, to all the things in between. You've got to constantly grow. You can't be emotionally lazy.
Yeah, amen. Oh, boy.
I'm on a pulpit. Let's go.
Emotionally lazy. How many people are emotionally and mentally lazy?
Well, that's emotions
mentally. Yes,
are
well, it starts with the mind. Mindfulness.
Right. Your mental creates your emotion.
Yes, of course.
I mean, we could have a whole segment on emotions and, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah, but we'll come back to, well, you know, to me, wealth, as I have said, wealth is not only money, but it's everything in life. It's, you know, it's everything. It's the money also allows you to do other things, and yet you've got to appreciate what you have, even if it's not as much as you want. or you know, I mean, anyway. So you basically, your core is the God center inside of yourself.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
And that's
and you brought something up, a good point, is gratitude. You've got to be grateful for everything, right?
Everything.
So, for example, my background, I'm totally grateful for every step. There's a lot of steps I wouldn't want to retrace, right?
Yeah,
but they made me who I am.
Yeah.
There's no regret, there's no story, there's no victimology.
Yeah.
It's made me who I am. I'm so effective in the world because of those.
Yeah.
Without those, I wouldn't have a razor edge.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
So you got to be grateful, and great gratitude. Like I text one of my friends today who's really, she's kicking in the world, big, right? I'll leave her unnamed. And I follow up with her. I just texted, check in with her. Nobody does that for her, right?
Yeah.
And we just met. In fact, I started this relationship without even knowing her. And today I said, you know what? You give, give, give. Your karma bucket must be full.
That's
right?
Cute, yeah.
But you got to do things for the right reasons. So
absolutely.
What does it come down to? You got to work on yourself first. You got to go internal, work on those limiting beliefs, you know, smash them, get rid of them, realign constantly. If you stop growing, you die.
That's right.
Do not stop growing.
Yeah.
Continue
right.
to
If you don't
expand.
learn, if you don't continue to learn, you're dying. Absolutely. And growing, learning, it's the same thing. Educating ourselves internally, outside. Oh, wow.
You have to take responsibility for your life.
Absolutely.
And we're talking about wealth, right?
Yes, and that is a huge responsibility. I mean, you know, and I've talked about in my previous episodes about, and I mentioned it again in the beginning of the white-collar crime that's going on. And I still say, no matter what, all the leaders, and Madoff is included, they were spiritually bankrupt. You know, that's maybe harsh to say, but they were void inside because they weren't living in a pure karma way. They weren't, they weren't mindful. They weren't mindful of what they were really doing, especially hurting your own people, you know. So karma, it takes work and consciousness, and it's so important. And I always say in every show, it takes discipline. It takes mental discipline to become a full, whole person. And
you know, I agree totally, and I keep hearing people always want to make things hard. You know what I mean?
Keep it simple.
You don't, even though you're doing the work, the expansion, the learning, the growth, the taking your mistakes, owning them, doing all these things in your life, it doesn't have to be hard. Hard is a choice.
It is a choice, definitely.
And I choose not to say things are hard.
Right.
I don't care where I'm at in life or what. They're not hard unless you make them hard.
Easily and effortlessly. I mean, that's how it should be, is easily and effortlessly. And I think sometimes it's past paradigms, past programming, you know, from your childhood that still sometimes comes up.
Total programming imprints.
Totally programming. So, you know, release, put it in the put it in the delete, you know, bucket, throw it away. You don't have to do, you know, just wake up. Wake up. Wake up?
Sometimes, you know, Cheryl, you know as well as I do because I've seen you work, you can't just wake up sometimes because those imprints are so on an unconscious level, they drive you without you know you're being driven. So you have to go somewhere else and let somebody else drive your race car to clean those up because sometimes you don't see them.
Now that's interesting. Tell me about what you mean about let someone else drive your race car.
Right. So, for example, here's a great metaphor. If I was coming here and I had somebody at my bookkeeper and she happens to be a woman. So they say, hey, does this necklace work for this outfit? You know, so you get a second opinion because you can't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what the whole package looks like.
Right. And we need other people.
Well, yeah.
It's interdependence. It's
connection. It's love.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Period.
Okay, so that's what you mean by that.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what I mean by getting help from someone else, it can be something as simple as, do I wear this necklace? Or it can be something as, you are so unhappy. You know, you're bordering a depression. Everything from you want to jump off a bridge to, oh, you know, my relationship ain't working, or I'm just, you know, I'd like to lose 10 pounds, you know, all this stuff in between. Sometimes you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, well, we can't do it by ourselves.
So go to someone that can get to those imprints, get to those conditioning, things that you have in your unconscious brain. It's that little critter brain that's driving.
Yeah, as some people say, the committee. You know, that there's a lot.
Sometimes there's a whole circus going on.
Yeah, and you know, but when you're focused, to me, it's a spiritual thing, you know, like I start my morning off with gratitude every morning. And then I do my meditation and my prayers. And that's what keeps me going. And I usually, no matter what happens, what challenge I have, I can stay grounded. And it doesn't matter because you know you're going to get through it all. Because you have that, well, as Buddha, the Buddha inside of you, you know, and it doesn't matter what happens around you because you'll handle it no matter what.
So that's your sacred ritual that you have.
Yes.
Everyone needs to create something.
Yes, and whatever.
People are running. They're not taking care of themselves.
No, I know.
You know,
you got to
stop, take a hot bath, so to speak.
Yeah,
right?
Or get your nails done, get a pedicure, you know, go for a massage. I haven't had one for a while, and you know, it's important to nurture ourselves. Men too. I see more men in beauty shops getting their nails done and their feet done, you know, because it feeds the endorphins, and you know, so it's very important. So tell me, since you're dealing with a lot of different people and talking about in the business, you know, the organization, what's the conversation that you have with yourself around money and wealth and yourself and others? What's the conversation that you have?
You know, money is energy, and it goes back to what you believe about money. Money is something society created. It's here to stay. Oh yeah. Right? Between money and religion, it rules the world.
However, we also need to shift the value towards it. You know, now people are bartering more, and that was the very first way of exchanging service and product, was bartering, and that has been shifting back to that because things are blown out of. Even though that there's enough money on this planet for everybody to have $8 to $10 million apiece, and I'm talking about everybody, and that's just the cash. Things are shifting, you know, things are shifting, meaning that the bartering is happening more because the cash has been a little tight, you know, and it's the top 2% still have the lion's share, even though they've had their losses. It's the whole planet. The whole planet is going through a revelation or whatever you want to call it, transformation on a global level for money. So what's the conversation you have with your clients or the people that you mentor?
About money?
Yeah.
Well, when I mentor someone or speak in front of a group, I get into their world. So I never advise. So I want to find out what their beliefs are around money.
Sure.
What are your beliefs around money, right? And then I listen and I calibrate their body language to see if they're really telling the truth to themselves.
Oh yeah, you know, and that's the key. That don't you think, with all your experience, and especially with reading people the way you have learned, you know, with your old career, that you know, if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with anybody.
True.
Period.
True.
So start waking up and being honest with yourself, and it's okay. You know, it's so good, but that, you know, having that realization that you're honest with yourself is freeing. Honesty sets you free.
You know, it's the pain-pleasure principle, right? So people, generally speaking, not all, I know people that love to move towards pain, and that's where they live. Oh, yeah. But most people, generally speaking, move towards pleasure, try to do anything to avoid pain.
Yeah, right.
So if lying to yourself, which then hence rolls off your tongue, and you lie to somebody in front of you, they're just doing their best to stay in their comfort level, be emotionally lazy, right? And be in pleasure instead of pain. But here's the bottom line. You are in pain because you're being incongruent. And when you're incongruent from the inside out, it causes major problems from your health to your wealth.
Yeah. Well, I think Louise Hay says it, you know, there's a mental cause to every physical.
Absolutely.
And I truly believe that. And whenever I have a pain or something, I go look and see I look it up, because I want to see what's going on in my mind. And inevitably, it's the truth. It's always the truth. Anyway, wow. So taking today and where you are with your career and what you're expanding, where do you want to go with that?
Well, I had to learn from going from a security type context, right? Collecting a paycheck and having a certain amount of wealth coming in.
Right.
Then I had to learn business, what that meant and how to work it, right? And then I had to learn what business was like and the mindset and the people that are in it. Very interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, I forgot the word you used, but I use the word values. We have to have great values. Your values drive you.
Yes.
Your values create your beliefs.
And if you believe in the, you know, this is again the law of attraction. You attract alike. You attract, and it's like, okay, sometimes I have to look at this as, why am I attracting this? And yes, I'm glad I'm attracting this. It's like I always think, okay, I always think through it. Why am I attracting this? Okay.
Yes, I agree. I love to make things simple, right? You know, when you're in a community that has spiritual language and all that, it's easy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But I love to work not only that environment, but people that don't get any of that stuff. So I say to them, here's the deal. When you walk into a room, a party or a business or a boardroom, who are you attracted to? More than likely the person with the most energy, the joker in the room, you know, the guy that's just like alive. Why? Because you want that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? You're not going to have it unless you become that.
Exactly.
Like attracts like.
Absolutely.
You become the sum total of 5 people that are closest to you.
Yeah, well, that's like a given. I keep hearing that over
but
and over.
But most people don't know that.
Yeah, I know. And because they don't want to stop and self-reflect.
You know, it all starts, because this could get really overwhelming for people, this conversation. Just start with yourself and start slow and ask for help.
One step at a time. One day at a time. Sometimes it's one moment at a time. Sometimes you just have to take one moment. When things start getting overwhelming, when things start coming at you, like I had an experience not too long ago where everything was coming at me, I thought, okay, just stop and relax. Take a deep breath. Relax. It's all going to be good. It's all going to work out no matter what. But, you know.
That's the understatement.